This Malaysian bundle of goodness is special. It's full of amazing textures and flavors that go together so well. You'll love it. Hey everyone, I'm Flo, Duties Behind the Camera, and we're all about simple food, simple faith. We are making Malaysian popia today, and it is essentially a wrap filled with vegetables and sausage and prawns and sauces, and it's just so delicious. I can't wait to show you how to make it. I'm using a shrimp today, and these are size 31 to 40 per pound. I'm using about 10 ounces, and what I like to do is cut them down because I find they're too big. I just cut them down in the middle. They've already been deshelled and deveined, and then you have these two pieces, and when you cook them up, they curl up, and they're really quite pretty. Moving on to our vegetable filling. So the star of the show is actually jicama, and it comes like this. We're only going to use about half of this because it's so big and I don't need all of it. We're also using carrot, celery, and onion. And I'm just going to slice everything up. I'm going to slice everything into strips. So chopping the onion from top to bottom, I find that it holds its shape better. Celery. Kind of using half of a jumbo carrot, so the carrot was like this big, but I'm only using half because it's so big. So you'll probably use a normal, regular, large carrot, not a jumbo carrot. We want all the pieces to be around the same size, and that adds to the mouthfeel. The texture matters in this dish. Okay, you want to slice up your jicama around the same size as everything else. So when you're using the jicama, you have to peel off the skin, and it's a little bit thick, so make sure you get a little bit more than just taking that brown part off. You'll see it. It's like a little husk almost. Shredding the vegetables is the hardest part of the whole recipe. But it's important. If you have a mandolin, that will help greatly. You can probably get it all done in a fraction of the time that it's taking me. This recipe is not hard. It's fairly easy. It's just labor intensive for the chopping part. But once you get all the chopping done, easy peasy. This is a great item to have a potluck. You can get everyone to just bring a portion of ingredients, and then when you get together, then you just put everything together in the wrap. I'll talk more about that later. So jicama has a texture of like chestnut. It's kind of sweet like that also. It's a great substitute for chestnut if you're doing another recipe and you didn't have water chestnuts. Not chestnuts, water chestnuts. And if you're eating it raw, it's kind of like an Asian pear. So if you can't find jicama, you can always substitute for a salad. But cooking it wise, when I'm using this amount, I want to use jicama because it'll take forever to chop up water chestnuts. And I'm using 3 cloves of garlic. Now in Malaysia, when you go out for dinner or lunch or whatever, there's always a container of raw garlic or your own personal little plate of raw garlic and raw chilies to go with whatever you're going to have for lunch. But I can't eat raw garlic. It's just too much. So I'm going to add garlic to the filling. I don't know if it's traditional or authentic or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm putting what I like into my popia. Dude was just telling me that his grandmother used to have a fried garlic with it. Now that would be yummy. All right, that's good. All right, so we also need some Chinese sausage. And I'm using, I want to say 4, but I think there's 5 in here. I can't just leave one lonely sausage, so I'm just going to cook it. These I'm just going to slice on the diagonal as well. All right, now we have the eggs. I'm using 6 eggs. And we're just going to beat these a little bit. Okay, turning on my wok to medium-high. And we're going to do the eggs first. And if you don't have a wok, you can always use a large frying pan. Once you see that wisp of smoke, I'm going to add about a tablespoon of cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil today. And we're going to make crepes with the eggs. So just pour in about a quarter of the egg. And let that cook. I'm going to try to flip this. That's not working. It doesn't have to be pretty. I just want it to be flat because I'm going to slice them up into strips. And if I'm not working fast enough, I just turn off the heat. Just putting it on my cutting board because I'm going to slice it up. And we're going to repeat that until the rest of the egg is cooked. All right. Okay, I'm just going to quickly slice this up into ribbons. It's hot. If you can't be bothered with this, and sometimes I can't, you can just scramble the eggs. Okay. Turning the wok back on to a medium. Okay, adding a bit of oil. It's a couple of teaspoons. And adding our shrimp. Oh, and 1 piece of lapjeong. I'm just going to cook this until it's cooked through. You see how the shrimp starts to curl up? So cute. This is going into a bowl. I'm turning off the heat because it's so hot so fast. Okay, and I turned down the heat to a medium, get the lapjeong going. I didn't add any oil because the lapjeong does have some fat in there. Just going to cook this through. It's going to take a minute or two. You can get some really fatty lapjeong, which is the Chinese sausage. It's called lapjeong. Or you can get ones with less fat. And this one doesn't have that much fat in it. That's okay, we just want to cook it through a little bit. It does say cook before eating. Can't eat it like salami. All right, put this in another bowl. All right, now we're getting onto our vegetable mixture. Adding about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I get my onions in there first. About a minute or so, and then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. And they should all cook around the same amount of time to soften, except for the garlic. The garlic we're going to add at the end. You just want to cook this until it's softened. Don't want it to be too crunchy, but you also want them to be cooked a little bit. Okay, and lastly, I just want to add the garlic in the middle. Stir fry that a little bit. You can tell it's ready. Well, I like the texture. When the vegetables are bendy, but they don't break, that's the perfect texture. Okay, adding our seasoning. About a tablespoon of soy sauce. And a tablespoon of oyster sauce. If you don't have oyster sauce, you can add another tablespoon of soy sauce. The oyster sauce does add that umami flavor that you're not going to get from the soy sauce. And since that's the only seasoning you're using, try to find some. If you're allergic to oyster, or you don't want to eat oyster, I mean, it doesn't really taste like oyster, but you can get a mushroom version. All right, that's it. Right. Of course, I forgot to add the sesame oil, so I'm just going to drizzle some on top, and we'll just mix it in later. About a teaspoon or so. All right, I'm using spring roll wrappers for the popia. I don't know if that's traditional or not, but they work, so I'm using them. And you can find this in the freezer section, and you want to keep it moist by laying down some wet paper towel and keeping it covered when it's not being used. You don't want it to be soaking wet, you just want it to be damp. And I'll show you how thin they are. And they just peel off really easily. Ta-da! All right, so to assemble, you want to place the egg roll wrapper in a diamond shape in front of you. And we're going to use a bit of lettuce. I'm going to start with the egg. You can start with whatever you want. I'm starting with the egg. And then the vegetable filling. You don't want to make it too big. It's kind of like a burrito, right? You don't want to make it too big, otherwise you can't fit all the things. And then it'll break and it won't be good. Some shrimp and some Chinese sausage. Also have some crushed peanuts and some fried shallots. I don't fry them myself anymore. Well, sometimes I do. I just buy them already in a container. And a little bit of cilantro. And then you can choose or add both sauces, hoisin sauce and Lingham's hot sauce, which is a Malaysian sauce. It's kind of sweet and spicy. It's up to you. I'm going to leave this up to Dude, and he can add whatever sauce. Well, what do you want to add, actually, because I have to roll it up for you.
Let's do both.
All right, so just a little bit of both. Okay, the reason why we want it in a diamond shape is so that we can roll it up nicely. Tuck the ends in and roll it up. That's it, Dude. Are you all ready for?
Ooh, the taste. All these components and the food brings back a ton of memories when my grandmother used to just slave over the stove the whole day, prepping all these ingredients for the family to come over, and then all the food's gone in like piranhas in, seemingly seconds. But this dish gives me the feels because of nostalgia and because it's so tasty. So thanks, Flo, for wrapping this bundle of goodness up for me. And yeah, it's something that packs so much flavor and so many different components with that gives you the mouthfeel and the texture that it's a great party food. All right, let's get into this. Look at that, guys. Color. Oh, so good. The flavors of Malaysia. Guys, there's not much more to say than it's so much goodness here because it packs in all the flavors and all the components, salt, fat, acid, heat, and it comes together in awesomeness. You guys really gotta do this.
Awesome, thanks dude. Most of the work is in preparation, but the cooking part is really simple and easy to do and quick. You've got to try it, guys. For the recipe, check it out on my website, flolum.com.